What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tony's Corner, a Great Girth segment. I'm your host, Tony, the guy who's seen more horror flicks than you've had hot dinners. Who cares, dude? Today we're diving deep, real deep, balls deep, into a classic that redefined terror on the big screen, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. Directed by Tobe Hooper, this low-budget nightmare has been frightening audiences in mass for over 50 years. Dude, I had a childhood based solely around this movie. Not literally. This is one of the many movies that made Tony. Man, I remember going into media play, a now dead memory from my long lost 90s childhood. And getting this movie, of course, along with a copy of the soundtrack for Scream 3. Dude, judge all you want. The movie may suck, but man, the albums for both that one and Scream 2 were just awesome. But that ain't what we are here to talk about, is it? First off, let's talk about where this movie came from. It's 1974. America is reeling from the Vietnam War. Watergate's got everyone distrusting the government. I mean, it's always been that way. And the whole oil crisis, right, is making folks feel like the world's falling apart. Tobe Hooper is a young filmmaker from Austin, Texas. He teams up with Kim Henkel to craft a story that's not just horror, it's a reflection of the times. Inspired by real-life killer Ed Gein, who's basically skinned his victim and made furniture out of these victims. He's the same guy that you'll find behind Psycho and Silence of the Lambs. Hooper wanted to show the monstrosity that lurks in everyday America. My first watch, I was a kid and my stepdad bought me this on VHS. What would pretty much be the very first film I'd ever owned. Thus, the collection began. The poster alone, dude, Leatherface with the chainsaw, it gave me nightmares. But watching it, it's not the gore, for lack thereof, really, that gets you. It's the atmosphere. The film clocks in at 83 minutes, but it feels eternal. No jump scares every 2 seconds like modern horror, just unrelenting dread. Rotten Tomatoes, if you follow that bullshit anyway, they gave it an 84% approval rating today, with critics calling it a low-budget masterpiece. And that is true, dude. But back then, mixed bag. Roger Ebert praised its execution, but warned it's for die-hard fans. Me personally, it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made. We'll unpack why as we go along. Let's start with the basics. The cast, dude, mostly unknowns at the time, which adds to the realism, right? You have Marilyn Burns as Sally Hardesty. She's our final girl, the Scream Queen, if you will, who carries the last act to fruition. Then we got Paul A. Parton as her brother, Franklin, the whiny paraplegic who's equal parts annoying and tragic. Edwin Neal as the hitchhiker, dude, creepy as hell. And then Jim Saito as the proprietor, the gas station owner who's all smile until he's not. And of course, the legend himself, Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface, the masked maniac who became an icon, man. You got Alan Danziger, Terry McMahon, and William Val all around as the victims, Jerry, Pam, and Kirk. Oh, and then you got John Larroquette, who narrates the opening, paid with a joint, believe it or not. I probably fucked up their names. That happens a lot. When I do these, I don't really look up how to pronounce every person's names. If I did get these wrong, my apologies, folks. But hey, back to the fun of why you are here. Production was a nightmare itself. Budget, $140,000, dude. Shot in hot Texas heat, up to 110 degrees a day. These actors, they stung from real animal blood and rotting props. Hooper aimed for PG but got an R after cuts. And it had been banned in the UK until 1999. The whole based on true events tag, that was just for marketing genius. Even when it's loosely inspired. Oh, and spoiler alert, dude, for a 50-year-old movie, if you haven't seen it, you might want to pause now and then watch, because we're going to be spoiling the shit out of this movie. On this review, I'm going to be spoiling it. Just so you're aware. So we open with that chilling narration over the crime scene flashes, right? The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths. Cut to August 18th, 1973, in rural Texas. Grave desecrations are happening, bodies dug up and posed as art, dude. Pretty gross. Our gang, Sally, Franklin, Jerry, Pam, and Kirk, are in a hippie van, heading to check on their grandpa's grave. Now we go to scene 1, the cemetery. It's eerie with that grotesque corpse sculpture that's tied up like a monument, dude. Franklin's whining about family history and slaughterhouses. They pick up the hitchhiker, Edwin Neal. He nails them crazy eyes. He talks about head cheese, takes a Polaroid, demands money. When he's refused, he slashes Franklin's arm with a razor. They boot him out, but he smears blood on the van like a curse. Honestly, it feels like foreshadowing. Low on gas, they hit a station, right? Proprietor says no fuel till tomorrow. They head to the old Hardesty homestead while they wait. Kirk and Pam wander off to a swimming hole, right? But instead, they find a creepy house with generators running. Bro, the part with the generators, when we're introduced to the generators right away, it is kind of weird. It is unsettling because if you grew up in rural areas or on a farm, these are pretty common. But even as someone that grew up, not on a farm per se, but my mother did. And so I got to understand the farm life. Even as someone that knew that stuff, just hearing it right as they find the house, it's like almost like a troubling warning for what is to come, and they clearly ignore it. And then Kirk, once he gets up to the house, dude, he does the whole knock, nothing. So he enters, and then bam, dude, like immediately in your face. Leatherface just appears, and he hammers him dead right there. That's the first kill, dude. It's shocking, and it's like suddenness. There is no music, dude, just whack. Pam soon follows. She finds a room of bones and feathers, furniture made from human remains, horrifying set design on a budget. Leatherface grabs her, and he impels her on a meat hook, dude, and she's alive. Twitching. It's brutal to see. Then he chainsaws Kirk's body. Terry's screams, dude, they're awful. You feel for him. Jerry goes looking. He finds the house, right? Unsuspecting, he opens the freezer. Pam's still alive. Pops out gasping. Leatherface kills Jerry with a hammer, dude. It's like right beat after beat. Then night falls. Sally and Franklin, they search with a flashlight, dude. Leatherface ambushes them. He chainsaws Franklin right through his wheelchair, dude. Paul Parton's death scene is gruesome with that like chainsaw roar, dude. It really is what makes us kind of feel for his character. It is probably the saddest kill in the entire movie, if I'm being honest. Like, you want him to go, in a sense. He is so annoying. But when it happens, you're like, damn, that one is probably, it's got to be the saddest. It's not the most shocking, but it is the most heartbreaking because he is like there is an innocence to his character. He's the innocence of the film. And then Sally, his sister, abandons him. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what happens. So what she ends up doing is after Paul's character, Franklin, is brutally murdered, Sally ends up running to the house, upstairs to a room where Grandpa, a mummified old man, and a rotting grandma corpse are chilling. She dumps out the window, glass shattering everywhere, dude. She limps to the gas station where she runs into the proprietor. He comforts her, but twist, he is part of the family. He beats her with a broom, dude, just like your mom would back in the day when you asked her for something at the store. Now comes the reveal. The hitchhiker's basically a family member. Leatherface, too. They are cannibals. They are the Sawyer family. They bring down Grandpa, supposedly 124 years old. Looks like a skeleton, dude. They cut Sally's finger. He's sucking the blood, vampire style. And then there's that dinner scene, dude, taunting Sally, who's gagged and bound. It's iconic. With close-ups of her, like, terrified eyes, dude. They try to let Grandpa hammer her, but he's too weak. And then the chaos ensues. Sally ends up breaking free, and she jumps through another window, dude. And then the pursuit begins, right? You got Hitchhiker and Leatherface chasing her off into the road. Well, a semi-truck ends up running the hitchhiker over. Splat, dude. Driver tries to help. He wrenches Leatherface really hard, who chainsaws his own leg as, a result. Sally ends up getting picked up by a kind of like just a passerby in a truck, and she survives, sure. It ends where Leatherface is maniacally just throwing that chainsaw in the air, dancing around it. It's one of the most iconic endings. Typically, when you bring up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, people immediately talk about the ending. Yes, Sally survives, but I mean, do we? The ending is just so iconic, man. And that's the plot, folks. Lean, mean, no fat. Every scene builds the tension. No supernatural crap, none of that. Just human evil, pure human evil. Pause here for a quick break. Go grab that snack. Maybe not barbecue, though. Let's break it down. The characters. Sally Hardesty. Marilyn Burns endured hell. Real injuries, dude, from the stunts, the 26-hour shoots. She's the archetype final girl. Resourceful, enduring. Her screams in that dinner scene, though, man, they're improvised. It's improvised agony. And then you got Franklin, the annoying sibling. But, again, he humanizes the group. Dude, that actor stayed in character. He pissed off co-stars for authenticity. The Sawyers, there's Leatherface, played by Gunnar Hansen, a poet in real life, by the way, R.I.P., rest his soul. His mask from human skin, that feminine dance, dude, it adds layers. It's like he's childlike, like scared. And then there's the hitchhiker, dude, maniacal energy. The proprietor, he's got that folksy charm that masks the evil beneath. And then Jim Sido's brother, John Dugan, he played Grandpa under that lovely makeup. Supporting, you got Kirk, Pam, and Jerry. They're just cannon fodder, but their deaths feel raw. There's no backstories needed. They're pretty much everyman victims. Now, Hooper's casting is genius. Locals and Texas authenticity, brother. Influences like Ed Gein's show in the Bone Decor. Real commentary on consumerism, turning people into products, and yada, yada, yada. You know Tobe Hooper's direction, masterclass and low budget. Shot on 16mm grainy, it looks authentic, dude. It enhances that documentary feel. The cinematography from Daniel Pearl, long takes of natural light, that oppressive heat that's visible in sweat. No score for most kills, just ambient sound, flies buzzing, chainsaw revs by Wayne Bell and Hooper, dude, fantastic. The editing is tight, no fluff. The dinner scene, cross-cut of those eyes, dude. And the mouths, it just builds the psych. It's terrifying. Special effects really is kind of on the lines of like latex skin, corn syrup, real animal guts for smell. Dude, the actors did vomit, believe it or not. And the legacy, like, it influenced found footage, like, Blair Witch. But let's take a deeper dive. Themes of isolation, right? Rural America as hell. Cannibalism is a metaphor for capitalism, slaughterhouse parallels, Vietnam echo and senseless violence, oil crisis and gas shortage plot. Feminism, well, Sally's survival empowers, but violence against women is stark. Dude, I can't with these hippies. You guys overthink these movies way too much, honestly. But what influences came from this movie? Well, Gein, obviously. A little bit of the Henley murders as well. Its legacy, a slasher blueprint. A mass killer, full weapons. It also sparked a variety of horror franchises, as well as its own. But what about my take? It is terrifying because of the fact that it is so subtle and comical while maintaining that effect of not fully pulling back the curtain. It is just not gore heavy. Its implied horror hits harder. The flaws, really, dude, the pacing is slow for some, but Franklin, he's a flaw. No, I'm just kidding. But that's intentional. Where does it fall in my rating system? I don't really believe that I had to ask you guys that because I know for a fact that you guys already know it will go down in history as legendary. Seriously, people, own a copy of this movie and the 03 remake if you haven't already. Watch it and then sequels for fun. Well, maybe 2 and 3. You could pretty much avoid the rest of them. And don't get me started on that bullshit Netflix garbage that whatever, dude. Thank you guys again for joining me on Tony's Corner, a Great Girth segment. If you like this and you want more, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out the Great Girth podcast for the more political and unleashed version of me. But in the meantime, always remember, folks, to stay rad.